Hey everybody, it is time once again for another Rahdo Q&A. And hello everybody, I'm about to answer a bunch of questions submitted by folks like you to the email address questions@rahdo.com. And by all means, folks, if anything I talk about or my wife talks about, because she sometimes shows up on these as well, prompts any further questions from you, well, you know what to do. Questions@rahdo.com is the email address. Keep them coming, folks. I want to hear your cues so I can am. And speaking of which, let's get right to it. But, folks, I'm going to talk about several different topics today, and if any of them don't really strike your fancy, don't worry. There are links down in the show notes that let you jump around from question to question so you can listen to just the parts you're interested in. All right, sound good? Then let's go. Okay, folks, let's get going with those questions, starting with Elaine, who says, the Rahdo final thoughts, I think, are very important. If you take into consideration that a portion of the board gamers have followed you for some time and gotten a feel of what you like in playing board games, that feeling is mostly displayed in the final thoughts. I purchased games you criticized in your final thoughts even though the game was not for you, and got games that you love because of some of the features you revealed. When I'm in doubt, then I watch the run-through. But the reason I do not watch all the run-throughs is because of the time involved in that. Obviously I totally understand that. I've got an hour-long run-through or I've got a 10-minute-long final thoughts and everybody's busy. Yeah. And you know what? Hey, Elaine, I can't fault you. At the end of the day, it's your money. I wouldn't want to put 50 or 70 or 100 or 200 bucks on the table without having done a lot of research beyond just watching one random dude's thoughts. No matter how much I liked him, even no matter how much I agreed with them, I would be inclined to do a little bit more due diligence. But, different strokes for different folks. And I'm very glad that you are getting everything you need out of the final thoughts, and then you can just use the run-through as like a follow-up. And it's interesting you point that out. That feeling is displayed in the final thoughts. People have to understand these final thoughts. Well, people have to understand me. I like things. I like liking things. I tend not to go through life cataloging how horrible and awful things are. If there's a thing I don't like, I just try to move on and forget about it. And I certainly don't want to dwell on it or talk about it because life is too short to have things that I don't like drag me down. Like, I'm disappointed with the new Fallout TV show. I was really looking forward to it. I watched the first 3 episodes and I'm like, eh. And I could really dwell on why I don't like it and what they should have done and and blah blah. Or I could say, fine. There's other TV shows. And I feel the same way about board games too. And, it's funny, when I am filming the final thoughts, and really probably the biggest weakness about my final thoughts are, when I'm filming them, I'm just shooting from the cup. You are seeing just a raw, unfiltered representation of how that game makes me feel. And a game I like makes me feel happy and excited, and that just comes through. It's funny, often after I'm done with the final thoughts, I'm like, oh crap, there was that thing I didn't like. And when I actually start talking about the things that I like, I tend to forget about everything else because I focus on the things that I like. You'll often notice sometimes if you make it to the end of the final thoughts, sometimes, heck, this just happened with the Sixth Realm. I was actually on the final screen that I remembered, oh right, I wanted to mention a thing, and then I would come back because my brain tends to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. That's just the way I'm hardwired. And that's why I worry that people relying entirely on my very exuberant enthusiasm can lead them astray because personally, I feel bad if you part with $75 and then it turns out you didn't like the game. I feel like I have failed you because I have misled you because I've got a brain that's different than everybody else. Don't forget, I'm the guy who loves Last Jedi while everybody else in the world hates it. I love the final season of Game of Thrones while everybody else hates it. I love Quantumania while everybody else seemed to hate it. I just like things. And so, I get it. As you say, you've been watching me for a long time. You know that. You understand that. You can filter things appropriately. But, every day I put up a video and somebody's going to watch my video for the first time. And I used to, like clockwork, if there was one thing that I said in every final thoughts, it was, please, folks, don't take my word for it. Go watch the run-through and decide for yourself. It looks like fun. And I really should redouble my efforts. Honestly, I really should have a script. Not a script where I'm just going to read off like, shut up and sit down, where they literally script out every single thing they're going to say. But more of just like bullet points, so I don't forget things. And the number one thing on the bullet point should be right at the beginning of the final thoughts. By the way, folks, there's an hour-long video that you can watch and decide for yourself. I really need to redouble my efforts in that. I've never really done it. I think there's only been like a handful of videos I've been doing this for over a decade now, where I actually have a bullet list off screen and I'm trying to make sure I go through them. Maybe I should do that. I'm sorry, that's neither here nor there. You haven't even got a question yet, but I mean, this is just things that are popping into my head as I read your thoughts. Anyway, Elaine continues. If there were games that I purchased and ended up not being as enthusiastic as you, I would not blame you for it. I would eventually resell the game and bring the joy of that game to someone else. And that's a positive thing too. Actually, that's something that I do need to remember. When I first started, 12, 13 years ago, after I discovered Pandemic almost by accident and then sought out other stuff. I actually did a top 10 of this many years ago. My first 10 games I bought. And it is a tale of woe where after Pandemic, every single game I bought for the next half a year turned out to be a dud. And I mean, there's a danger that like, oh, maybe Pandemic was just this weird outlier and board games aren't for us. Because I did not know how to do my own research yet. And I actually walked through the entire process of how I learned to be a good vetter of games to be able to ensure I find games that are fun for me and Jen. But the thing is, I don't have any of those games anymore. They all found homes. It is really important that the Board Game Geek ecosystem allows for you to take risks. And that's how I always looked at it. Like, okay, heck, I'll just try all these games. I'll try them all. Gobble, 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 gobble. And I was relying on Tom Vassell at first until I realized, oh, I don't agree with this guy at all. This was before he wore the hats. And, but it was never really a problem because inevitably I'd try a game and if I didn't like it, I'd be able to find somebody on Board Game Geek who was interested in it, and all I'd have to do, I mean, it's like I felt like it was a rental charge, right? Hey, I bought the thing for 50 plus shipping. And now I'm going to sell the thing for 40 plus shipping. And really, what did I do? Oh, I just paid a $10 rental fee. I mean, no different than renting a movie from the local Blockbuster. And sometimes you like the movie, sometimes you don't. And that's still as equally applicable now as it has ever been. And I'm glad you bring that up because it is a reminder for me that maybe, I don't know. But, again, there are going to be people who buy some big bloated monstrosity of a Kickstarter campaign because I played it for, 5 to 10 hours, enjoyed my time and said I enjoyed my time. And then somebody's going to, put down $250,000 and then they're going to be disappointed in what they're going to do. And they don't know that they could then go and sell it. And heck, maybe even make a profit off of it. If it turns out they don't like it. So many people don't know that. Maybe it's time that I do an update. Maybe I should talk about I should probably do a video, how to be a good board game consumer or a safe board game consumer. Maybe. Or heck, you know what? If somebody asks that question, maybe I'll just put it in one of these Q&As somewhere down the road. That would probably be the easiest way to do it. Anyway, let's move on to Alejandro, who says, 1. Multiple questions have been asked you regarding the drop of funds, which you've explained was mostly due to political view sharing, etc. Yeah, there's a bunch of things. One of them was wearing the Black Lives Matter shirts and all the other ones, but there are a lot of things that contributed to, and again, not just me, but pretty much across the board. People, board game companies are going out of business. Dice Tower has the same drop off in funding that I do. It's universal, and in every case, I'm sure there are different reasons. But anyway, continuing, Alejandro says, has the funding changed since the other reviewers in the Rahdo network started to cover more games than you? I am one of those funders. Thank you very much, Alejandro, that's been supporting the show, and I won't change. But I am curious to know if there are patrons that have complained or left due to the lack of your presence, other than the usual two YouTube complainers, if any. There's a little bit. Honestly, it's not much. Hold on a second. Can I do this anonymously? I think I can. I'm all right, off screen. I am going over to Patreon because I'll just pull back the covers and show you what people think. Because when people decide, you know what, I'm not going to back this guy anymore, they get the opportunity to fill out a survey. They can tick a box, oh, this is why I'm not doing it, and if they want, they can add comments. Let me see. My exit surveys, you know what, I'm looking at them, and yeah, there is no information about who said what. It's all anonymous. So let me flip over there. And yeah, you folks can see. My financial situation has changed. Financial situation has changed. Financial. I mean, at one point, actually, I didn't even know this existed for the longest time. And then Jonathan Cox, John Gets Games, he told me, yeah, did you know there's this tab over here and you could actually see why people are bailing? I'm like, oh. And so I did like a report and I figured out, and it's like the overwhelming majority is people saying my financial situation has changed, which is just trying to say that, yeah, it's self-evident. But you can see there are other things. Let's see. Walkway collapse needs to get fixed. Oh, man, whoever that is on February 27th. I always, if anybody ever says anything, my first, sometimes people, quit and then they send me a message saying, hey, Rahdo, I'm really sorry. I can't support the show. My walkway collapsed and I have to get it fixed. The first thing I always say is, oh, my gosh, folks, please put you and your family first. I'm going to be fine. If I have less financing, it means there might be a few fewer videos every month, but that's okay. Jen and I are doing okay. Always put yourself first rather than just some person that you like on YouTube. But anyway, like here's an example. This person had some reason. The signal to message ratio has been out of whack for a while. I mostly continue supporting because Rahdo's strong stance on social matters rather than actual output. Thank you, whoever you are. But half of the output these days is promotional materials about what's happened in the last week and what will be happening next week, most of which is by other people anyway. So there you go. Alejandro, there's an example. Although, it's interesting. These are fascinating to me. Every day, 7 days a week, I put up something on the channel, right? One out of those 7 days, this person, whoever you are, again, thank you for any support you've given me in the past. I think that's great. But now they feel like half of what I do is just telling you about other stuff. That's one video, 1/7 of my total output is talking about other videos on the channel. 6/7 of my output is not that. And yet, for some reason, the existence of one recap show every week, which by what was this, February 24th, I'd been doing the recap now for probably not quite close to a year. I think I started in June. So, but somehow the existence of the recap in this person's view has ballooned to being, the majority of what I do. I'm just constantly upselling other stuff. Of course, that's not the case. And of course, I have no way to contact this person and say, oh, by the way, it's only 1/7 of my content is what you're saying. But now he does say something else. He or she, I should say. Half of that output is promotional material, most of which is by other people anyway. Now, that's not true at all. The vast majority, well over 50% of everything on this channel, well, I guess that's not vast majority. But again, if you are a backer of the show and you see the exclusive videos that go on that are basically behind a paywall because you're a Patreon backer, yeah, something like 70% of everything that goes up on my channel is me and Jen. Shay, Kimberly, Ruel, Amy, and Maggie, everybody else, they're all doing their part, but, they're not doing as much as me at the end of the day. Perception trumps reality at the end of the day. And this person perceived that, man, I just won't stop talking about all of the videos on the channel, almost none of which are done by me. If you actually take a step back, and of course I do because I post these things every day. I know exactly what I post. I know exactly how much I pay Amy and Maggie and Shay and everybody else to do content. And I know their perspective is incorrect, but it's their perspective. And so, but anyway, let's see. And then we have a whole bunch more financial situations, some unknown other reasons. The system didn't allow me to downgrade to a lower tier. Obviously, they ran into some kind of bug because it does let you downgrade to another tier. Or actually, I think other people have said that you have to kind of cancel and then restart or something like that. No, you can change your tiers. It's just really well hidden, which is an unfortunate thing about Patreon. And it's easier just to cancel and restart, which is probably what this person did back in January. But okay, can't justify this anymore. As I watch Rahdo less and less, still love what you do, still promote you in interaction with others. I mean, that's something that I see this. I've seen this several times. In these kinds of comments that I'm just not playing games as much as I do anymore, and it just doesn't make sense because I don't need your services. And hey, that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly reasonable too. Sometimes it's I only intend to give Rahdo so much. They just wanted to do a fixed amount. That's fine. Right. I couldn't, again, another person thought they could not downgrade, so they canceled and they probably just re-uploaded. Again, you can, it's just really well hidden. Gaming preferences no longer align. This is one that really surprises me. The number of times I see every month, sometimes almost every week, wow, Rahdo has really changed. He doesn't cover the same kinds of games anymore. I'm like, I haven't changed at all. I know what my brain is. I do know that Jen and I tend to we pivoted a bit, and it's mostly Jen, not me, has pivoted to more, hey, you know what, where my brain is at this point, I enjoy mid-weight games more than heavyweight games, and we used to be much more into heavyweight games. But I still cover just as many heavyweight games as I ever did. It's still just as big a percentage of my overall output. Now, granted, my overall output has dropped to make room for output of everybody else. These days, there is more content that goes up on the channel in a given month than there ever was back when we lived in Malta. And that's thanks to all the contributors. I mean, there'd only be a couple of videos a week. Maybe 3 videos a week if it was just me. Although, again, that's the public stuff. You get to the private stuff, things change. Because, every month there's what? The Ramble, the Recluse, the Recollect, the Relax, the Release. Every month, if you're just a subscriber on YouTube, you don't know. There's 5 additional videos that I put up. That's an additional video every week, plus one more that you get for supporting the show. And it's just a lot of my content has moved over to, well, hey, I thank you for supporting me. Here's a little bit of extra bonus rather than me just making everything public all the time. Posted too frequently with substanceless posts causing notification noise. All right, well, fair enough. That is certainly true. It used to be, back when I was in Malta, there were maybe like 2 videos a week, and now there are 7 videos a week every day. That is kind of surprising, though. Oh, by the way, 6, the video podcast. That's a 6th thing that people get. So there's 6 things every month that are behind the paywall. So, there's a variety of things. But overwhelmingly, it's my financial situation has changed, which, to interpret it through the lens of what has been talked about in previous episodes of the podcast, that's a reflection of inflation. That's a reflection of the fact that people have less disposable income. And yeah, everybody's suffering because of that, including me. So, strictly speaking, heck, how far back does this go? This has 19 pages. If I go back to 2018, even back then, this was within. Did I start Patreon in 2018? I'm not sure. Let's come back over here. It was mostly still financial situation has changed. All right, I got the benefit I wanted, then I canceled. People just like people back on, do 1 month of Netflix so they can binge watch a show. Sometimes people just 1 month me on Patreon so they can binge watch, a bunch of the behind the scenes content. That's perfectly reasonable too. It's funny, I don't see that very often anymore. It looks like it used to be much more common when I first started out. And I would imagine if I were to dig through these 20 pages of things, there will come a point where a few years ago, there were a whole bunch that said, yeah, I'm not going to support a Black Lives Matter guy. And, I don't see those very much anymore. Those people, the word is out. Rahdo is a social justice warrior, and they know they don't have to waste their money on my mind virus anymore. And that's fine. I don't want their money anyway. Let's see. Was there a question in all that? Yes. Has the funding changed? All right. So anyway, that was just a sample. We looked at 30 different things, and one person intimated that there was too much non-Rahdo stuff on the channel. And I would say that kind of jibes with the overall. Yes, there is a percentage of drop off where people have told me explicitly that, it's called Rahdo Runs Through, not Rahdo and Friends Run Through. And okay, that's fine. And it's certainly true. It used to be 100% of my content was me. And now, again, if you're a paying subscriber, it's still 70%. If you're just a public viewer, it's probably more like 50 to 55%. About half of everything that's public is from me, and the rest, maybe even a little bit less. It depends month to month. Sometimes there's like a big rush and Shay gets a bunch of jobs. And then other times, oh, you haven't seen anything from Kimberly for 3 months. You know, it varies over the course of the year. Probably still roughly 50% of everything on the channel is me, as opposed to 100%. And yeah, there's no doubt. That is another reason that some people have decided, yeah, I'm not interested. And that's fine. I understand. I have certainly stopped supporting channels for all number of reasons, in the past as well. And, people put their money where their mouth is, and they let their money talk. That's cool. But at the end of the day, here's the deal that people need to understand. I am not doing fewer videos so that Shay and Kimberly and Amy and Maggie and everybody else can do more videos on the channel. I'm doing fewer videos to ensure that my wife and I do not burn out and just shut the channel down entirely, right? Even if I fired everybody tomorrow, you would not see an uptick in content from me. I would just have a lot more money in my pocket, quite frankly, because currently, even though I still produce over 50% of all the content on the channel, something like I only make 30% of the income. 70% of the income goes to everybody else. I pay Shay more to do a monthly run through than I pay myself. And that's the same for everybody. So, yeah. I could just fire them all and just pocket the change. And I don't know, you know what? Some people would be happy because, now there's not this bloat. And it suddenly there would be this weird perception that, Rahdo's doing more now. No, I'm not. I'm not doing more. You're just getting less content. I mean, honestly, if I were a smart businessman, I would totally do that, quite frankly. But nobody ever accused me of being a smart businessman. If you've ever played an economic Euro simulation with me, you can probably have firsthand knowledge of that. But anyway. Question 2. Why didn't you cover any of the last 2 city collection? Were you contacted by Queen to cover any of these, or did you decline for being on the road? Okay, so you're obviously talking about the stuff in Feld, and you're specifically talking about Cuzco, Vienna, Kathmandu, and then there's like a 4th one. Man, if there is one person I am more jealous of than anybody else in all of board game media, it's got to be Paul Grogan, because Paul Grogan has become Queen's go-to guy to cover all their stuff. And it makes me sad because I used to be that guy. Don't get me wrong, Paul Grogan does an amazing job. I enjoy his videos. That's how I often learn whether I'm going to enjoy a new Feld game or not these days, because I'm not getting a chance to play it. Paul's playing it months, if not years, earlier than me. And I'm incredibly jealous. I believe I would not suffer this problem if I were still in Europe. Because you're right, actually, Cuzco and Vienna really became available, made it out to backers while we were on the road, and we were in Mexico and could not get those things sent to us anyway. But I said, please, by all means, send them. I'll recover them as soon as I get home. I am still the only person in all of board game media who has 100% coverage of every single game Feld has ever done. And I'd like to hold on to that record, please. But it's getting harder and harder because, Queen have repeatedly told me, don't worry, we'll get you copies, every month I keep hearing, and we'll get you review copies of these games. Is just proving to be very difficult. And I'm like, oh, and as near as I can tell, the reason I'm not getting them is because, 1, I didn't buy them for myself, or they'd be here right now. And 2, because I'm in America now, and I'm not in Europe, and they had a much easier time getting to me in Europe. And I don't know, I have no idea what the particular goings-on are behind the scenes. I would love to be playing Cusco and Vienna right this very second. I would rather do that than talk to this camera. And I'm assuming someday they will show up. But no, there is no, in no way, shape, or form do I not want to cover on the ongoing Stefan Feld City collection. I'm so excited for Kathmandu. And I'm so jealous that Paul, and you'll notice it was mostly European channels. Slicker Drips covered it. Paul covered it. I don't know, did Heavy Cardboard cover it? Maybe they covered it too. That's another problem too that I have. It used to be I was much more aggressive in chasing down review copies of games, but at some point, I realized, you know what? I've got too much stuff to cover anyway. It just makes no sense for me to like, get me this thing and get me that thing. I really want to cover it. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And if it shows up, but in the meantime, it's just one more game. I've got plenty of games to cover already. It's not like I need more stuff for me to be falling farther and farther behind. So no, I am very excited. I certainly hope to continue to be able. And Queen has told me, don't worry, Rahdo, we will get them to you. It's just proving to be difficult for logistical reasons that I do not have access to. But I am certainly excited about it, especially Kathmandu. Especially because, well, actually, as I recall, watching the run-throughs for it, I had some problems with Kathmandu. There were some things I did not like about it, quite frankly. So maybe it's for the best that I'll wait until the final version comes out. And, at the end of the day, Cuzco, is Cuzco the remake of Bora Bora? I mean, Bora Bora was not one we kept, but Vienna being the remake of one of my all-time fave Felds, La Isla, I am so stoked for Vienna. Although it'll be interesting to see because it's really been hit or miss. At the end of the day, I thought that Macau was better than Amsterdam, but I do think that Hamburg is better than Bruges. And so I look forward to seeing, am I getting rid of my La Isla and replacing it with Vienna, or am I holding on to my La Isla? Will Bora Bora... Will I be able to find it? I mean, Bora Bora for me in general is way too cutthroat. And I imagine Cuzco will be as well, but maybe not. Time will tell. I don't know. There's my Feld update. Number 3. I watched your Marrakesh expansion video. I agree, the Nomads module makes the game easier, but overall, it's interesting for the versatility they offer, plus they aren't cheap to hire or use. Yes, that's entirely true. We did love the Camels for asymmetric power penalty tiles, as it improved the aspect we disliked the most, the game mechanically forcing you to take every action. Because now you have an alternative. I don't have to do olives if I don't want to. I'll just go bet on the Camels. My only gripe is that we did find it a bit too long, and I'm surprised to hear that it took you the same length as that of the base game. Did you play with all modules included, or were you referring to your final thoughts to a gameplay with just the Camels module? Let's see. So first of all, this is a weird one, because this is weird too. Somehow, I had like the first copy of the Marrakesh expansion in the world, and yet they can't get me these other ones. Again, logistics are weird. Logistics are strange. Weird stuff happens. But the funny thing is, they sent me Marrakesh expansion, and they sent it to a friend of mine, and I picked it up on the road, and they didn't send me a copy of Marrakesh, and they didn't even tell me they were going to send it. So I got it, and because they wanted to surprise me, and the surprise was, I didn't bring my copy of Marrakesh on our half-year road trip to Mexico, so I had the expansion before almost anybody else in the world, and I couldn't play it because I didn't have Marrakesh. And I said, hey, could you send me a copy of Marrakesh as well? And they said, yeah, we'll do that, and then they never did. And so literally days before we crossed the road into Mexico, I said to heck with it and went on Amazon and bought my second copy. Actually, it was my third copy of Marrakesh. So I own 2 copies of Marrakesh, although I ended up donating one of them to the Dice Tower West Convention Library, and so I still own one. So anyway, and so then we got to play it on the road in Mexico, and we were playing it with the whatchamacallit? The Essential Edition, because it's cheaper, and I like the Essential Edition more because it takes up less table space than the original edition. And so you're saying the game got a lot longer for you. But it shouldn't. It's not like you're taking any additional turns. You have more options turn to turn. And it's interesting, I don't feel the Camel makes the game longer at all. Because like you said, the Camel is just like, oh, you know what? I'm not even going to bother with mosques. Would this be a good mosque turn? I'm just going to throw those over to the Camel anyway. But it didn't take any longer for us to figure out how best to manipulate the Camels than it did the, whatchamacallem. Now, you're right. I can't think of the word. The Nomads. You're right. They do make the game longer because literally every round there is an additional action point that one player will get to spend because Nomads show up. And I guess that has the potential to slow things down a little bit, especially because, as you correctly say, the Nomads so broaden your possibility space because they're wilds. And then on top of that, it's not like they replace something, they become an additional thing. But this is so night and day different from when Feld put expansions out for Merlin, where Merlin literally got 30% 50% longer or 60% longer if the more expansions you added. Because, hey, I mean, normally I only do 3 dice a round. Now I do 4. Now I do 5. I mean, that's literally making the game significantly longer. We didn't find the Nomad. I guess you're right. The Nomads probably lengthened it a little bit. But then don't forget, Jen could take, Jen was perfectly fine with the Nomads. I didn't like them. So we were, for the most part, did you actually ask that? Did you play with all modules included, or were you referring to the Final Thoughts with just the Camels module? Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I don't remember what I said, quite frankly. I think probably I drew a parallel to Merlin, and oh my God, thank God this isn't like Merlin that makes the game literally take twice as long if you add Morgana and Arthur. And it's like, oh my God, the game never ends. This is insane. And it was already a long game. And I mean, Marrakesh is nothing like that, even if you turn everything on. And honestly, I think there's enough stuff in Marrakesh you shouldn't turn everything on. But I'm sure for the most part, in my head, I'm sure I was mostly referring to the way I personally found the game most compelling. Throwing the Camels in, not throwing the Nomads in. Side note, I was also unhappy with the original tower, but now they sent us an insert that fixed it, at least for me. You know what? Honestly, I was starting to think I was insane because it felt like I was the only person in the world who found a problem with the tower because, Man vs. Meeple, they were making fun of me saying, look, Rahdo, our tower works great. And, nobody else pointed out these issues. Paul Grogan also literally mentioned in passing that I don't know what Rahdo's talking about. The tower's great. It's like, no, it wasn't. So apparently it was you and me, Alejandro. I would think. All right, anyway. Moving right along to Alexander. And that will be the end of this session of the Rahdo Q&A. Thank you, folks, for watching and also for submitting your questions. Send me more to the email address questions@rahdo.com, and I'll get you covered in a future episode. And in the meantime, if you would like to hear some more, you're in luck. I have been doing the Rahdo Talks Through audio podcast for years now with my wife, Jen, and we have got hundreds of hours for you to enjoy. You can hit that big box that's on screen right now if you want to dive deep. Also, you can go on ahead and subscribe so you won't miss the next Rahdo Q&A. And thank you, folks, for watching, for listening. Have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.